Most discussions about retirement usually focus on how much money you need to save. But there is another factor that is just as important: the timing of when you retire and how it can completely change the income your portfolio is able to produce. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Aaron. Today I will walk through 4 real scenarios. One person retiring at age 50 using Rule 72T, another retiring at 55 using the Rule of 55, one retiring at a more typical age of 60, and another retiring at 67, which is considered full retirement age. All of these examples use the same starting balance, the same contributions, and the same portfolio. The only difference is the timing. By the end of this video, you will clearly see how the timing of retirement can shape the income you receive for the rest of your life. Before we move into the retirement scenarios, let me quickly explain the portfolio we will use as the baseline throughout this entire video. This investor keeps the strategy simple with 60% invested in the S&P 500, 30% in 10-year U.S. Treasuries, and 10% in gold. This combination is balanced, resilient, and historically has remained relatively stable during major market disruptions. When reviewing its performance from 2007 through 2024, a period that included the global financial crisis, a worldwide pandemic, significant inflation, and the 2022 double bear market, the portfolio still produced strong long-term compounding. Here is the complete table of annual returns, so you can see how the portfolio performed year by year. As mentioned earlier, this will serve as the baseline portfolio used in every example in this video. We will assume our investor is 50 years old in 2007 and has $500,000 invested in this portfolio. The reason for selecting this starting age is that by the time we reach 2024, the investor will be 67, which represents full retirement age. Now let's examine what happens if this investor decides to leave the workforce at age 50. Retiring this early and trying to access traditional retirement accounts before age 59 and a half normally results in early withdrawal penalties. However, there is a specific IRS rule that allows an exception called Rule 72T. This rule allows you to withdraw from traditional retirement accounts without the early penalty. But there is an important requirement. You must follow a schedule known as substantially equal periodic payments, commonly referred to as SEPP. In simple terms, this means you are allowed to take penalty-free withdrawals from your traditional retirement account, but you must calculate those withdrawals using one of 3 IRS-approved formulas. These methods include the required minimum distribution method, the annuitization method, or the amortization method. In this example, we will use the required minimum distribution method. Once you begin this schedule, you must continue the withdrawals for at least 5 years or until age 59 and a half, whichever period is longer. If you attempt to change the schedule or stop the payments early, the IRS can apply penalties. These penalties are not limited to a single year. They can be applied retroactively to every withdrawal taken previously. Because we are using the required minimum distribution method, the withdrawal amount is recalculated each year. In this scenario, the withdrawals begin smaller and gradually increase over time because the investment portfolio continues to grow while it remains invested. In this case, our investor begins with $500,000 at age 50. They do not add any new contributions to this account and only withdraw the required annual amount under SEPP rules. With Rule 72T or SEPP payments, the rules are very precise. You must withdraw the exact calculated amount. You cannot take more and you cannot take less. I have an entire video explaining this process in detail, which I can link above and below, but for now, just understand that once this schedule begins, it must be followed carefully. Here is the full schedule of withdrawals and portfolio balances from age 50 through age 58. The key observation here is that even though money is being withdrawn every year, the portfolio still continues growing because the withdrawal amounts remain relatively modest. By the time the investor reaches age 58, the account balance is approximately $691,000, even after nearly a decade of withdrawals. As shown in this example, the income produced under Rule 72T is relatively limited. In this situation, the retiree cannot increase or decrease withdrawals because the schedule is fixed according to IRS guidelines. Attempting to change the schedule would result in penalties. In many real-world situations, someone retiring at age 50 with a portfolio structured like this would likely require additional income sources. That might include part-time work, consulting, freelance projects, or another type of side income. They may also rely on a separate account, such as a taxable brokerage account, for additional withdrawals. Most early retirees would need to supplement their SEP withdrawals in order to meet their full income needs during the early years of retirement. If your goal is to fully fund your lifestyle using Rule 72T alone, you would probably need a much larger portfolio at the beginning of retirement. Depending on how an individual's SEPP plan is structured, a retiree may or may not need to take a payment during the year they reach age 59. In this example, we will assume that payment is not required. Once the investor reaches age 59 and a half and has satisfied the 5-year requirement of the SEPP schedule, the restrictions end and the account becomes fully accessible. At that point, withdrawals are no longer limited to a calculated schedule. The retiree can withdraw as much or as little as they choose without triggering penalties. Essentially, they gain complete flexibility over their withdrawal strategy. At that stage, we will assume the retiree shifts to a safe withdrawal strategy. In this video, we will use a 4.7% withdrawal rate. Applying this percentage to the portfolio balance of $691,000 results in an annual income of about $32,000. Even though the retiree can now access the account freely after age 59 and a half, they are still too young to collect Social Security benefits. Whether this income is sufficient depends entirely on the retiree's personal expenses and lifestyle. If additional income is needed during the gap years before Social Security eligibility, part-time work may still be necessary. Once Social Security eventually begins, the combined income from the portfolio and Social Security could potentially cover all living expenses. The outcome depends on spending levels. Retiring at age 50 is certainly achievable, but the income available at that age will be determined largely by the SEPP formula rather than lifestyle preferences. Rule 72T provides a valuable way to access retirement accounts early without penalties, but it works best when combined with other sources of income that provide flexibility. Those additional sources might include part-time work or a taxable brokerage account that allows withdrawals without strict limits. Otherwise, you remain entirely dependent on the SEPP schedule, which can be restrictive. The strategy is primarily designed to protect long-term portfolio sustainability rather than maximize spending. It is structured and disciplined and allows access to retirement accounts at an unusually early age, but it works best when combined with additional income options. Now let's examine what retirement could look like at age 55. At this point, the rules change significantly. If you leave your employer during or after the year you turn 55, the IRS provides an exception known as the Rule of 55. This rule allows you to access funds from that employer's 401k or 403b plan without the 10% early withdrawal penalty. There is no SEPP schedule required and no multi-year commitment to fixed payments. There are a few important limitations to remember. This rule only applies to employer-sponsored plans, not individual retirement accounts. It only applies to the plan associated with the employer you just left. It also provides flexibility regarding how much money you withdraw and when you choose to withdraw it. For this scenario, we assume that the investor had the same $500,000 invested at age 50 in the same portfolio allocation of 60% stocks, 30% treasuries, and 10% gold. In this example, the investor continues working for 5 additional years and contributes $1,000 per month to the account. Let's review how the portfolio grows between age 50 and age 55. Remember that the investor is contributing $12,000 per year during these additional working years. By the time they reach age 55, the portfolio has increased to nearly $820,000. Because they qualify under the Rule of 55, they now have full penalty-free access to the employer-sponsored retirement plan. There is no formula dictating withdrawals and no schedule that must be followed. They can access the funds with complete flexibility. To estimate income, we will again apply the 4.7% safe withdrawal rate, which is a commonly referenced strategy for sustainable long-term withdrawals. With a balance close to $820,000, applying a 4.7% withdrawal rate produces annual income of approximately $38,500. By retiring at 55 instead of 50, the retiree is able to generate roughly double the income from the portfolio. The explanation is straightforward. The portfolio received 5 additional years of compounding growth. Contributions continued during those 5 years. And instead of being limited by an IRS formula, the retiree can now apply a flexible withdrawal strategy. In short, the investor is no longer restricted by a rigid rule. Working 5 extra years, continuing contributions, and allowing the portfolio to recover after the market decline of 2008 significantly improves retirement income potential. Even with income of around $38,000 or $39,000 per year, some retirees may still choose to earn supplemental income through side work. Others might reduce expenses by moving to a lower-cost area. Some may even relocate internationally where living costs are lower than in the United States. At this stage, Social Security benefits are still unavailable because the earliest claiming age is 62. If someone chooses to wait until full retirement age at 67, Social Security benefits would begin much later. Until eligibility begins, that additional income source cannot yet be added. The main takeaway is clear. Giving a portfolio 5 extra years to grow can significantly increase the income it can safely generate. Those additional years, combined with continued contributions, can substantially increase long-term retirement income. Now let's consider retirement at age 60. This is a very common retirement age and still qualifies as relatively early retirement for many people. Once again, we start with the same baseline scenario. The investor had $500,000 invested at age 50 in the same portfolio allocation. In this case, the investor continues working for 10 more years and continues contributing to the account during that time. Let's review how the portfolio grows from age 50 to age 60. By age 60, the portfolio has increased to nearly $1.4 million. At this age, the investor does not need to rely on any special IRS withdrawal rules. Leaving the workforce at age 60 provides unrestricted access to traditional retirement accounts without penalties. The retiree can simply follow a normal, safe withdrawal strategy. Using the same 4.7% withdrawal rate, a portfolio balance of roughly $1.37 million would generate about $64,000 in annual income. Remember that this figure represents only the income produced by the portfolio itself. Social Security benefits are still not included. Although Social Security can begin as early as age 62, some retirees prefer to delay claiming benefits for a larger monthly payment later. When benefits eventually begin, they would be added on top of the portfolio income, creating a stronger total income stream. What stands out here is how an additional 5 years of work nearly doubles the income that was available at age 55. The final working years before retirement are often the most powerful for portfolio growth. When an investor already has a substantial balance, the combination of continued contributions, market recovery, and compounding can create dramatic increases in value. In roughly 7 years, the account nearly doubled and moved well into 7-figure territory. This highlights the importance of remaining invested during market recoveries after downturns like 2008. Maintaining a balanced portfolio, consistently investing during volatile periods, and staying committed to the long-term strategy can significantly strengthen retirement outcomes. Allowing compounding to continue uninterrupted throughout your career and extending your working years even slightly can dramatically increase the income your investments provide. Now let's look at the final scenario where the investor continues working and contributing until age 67. This represents the full earning period combined with the full power of long-term compounding. Here is how the portfolio grows from age 50 through age 67. By age 67, the portfolio reaches approximately $2.7 million. Applying the same 4.7% withdrawal rate produces annual income of about $127,000. At this stage, the retiree also becomes eligible for full Social Security benefits. This is where the message becomes very clear. Allowing compounding to continue for the entire 17-year period between age 50 and age 67 dramatically increases income potential. Here is how portfolio income evolves across the different retirement ages. At age 50, the income was about $14,000 per year, and it was restricted by the SEPP schedule. At age 55, the income increased to about $38,500 annually. At age 60, the income rose to about $64,000 per year. and by age 67, the income grew to roughly $127,000 annually. These differences are significant and can completely change the quality of retirement. Remember that each scenario started from the same initial position, $500,000 invested at age 50. These examples clearly demonstrate how powerful time, consistent investing, market recovery, and compounding growth can be. The longer money remains invested, the more dramatically retirement income potential expands. However, it is important to clarify something. The objective is not necessarily to work as long as possible or accumulate the largest portfolio imaginable. The purpose of this video is simply to demonstrate the range of outcomes that can occur depending on the age at which someone retires and how long their investments remain in the market. Every individual situation is different. Someone who saves aggressively may build a larger portfolio earlier and retire comfortably at age 50 without needing supplemental income. Another person might reach financial independence around age 55. Others may choose to work until age 60 or 67 because they enjoy their work or prefer additional financial security in retirement. They may want a larger portfolio that provides more flexibility. For people who pursue early retirement, tools such as Rule 72T and the Rule of 55 provide ways to access retirement accounts before age 59 and a half without penalties. These strategies can make early retirement possible. At the same time, it is also true that the longer investments remain in the market, the more compounding works in your favor. Ultimately, the best retirement age is the point where your portfolio can reliably support your lifestyle and financial goals. That might include helping future generations, traveling, maintaining flexibility, or simply enjoying peace of mind while you still have the health and time to appreciate the life you planned for. There is no universal retirement age, and there is no single target number that works for everyone. The right number is the one that supports your goals, and the right timing is the one that fits your life priorities. So what is your plan? Which of these retirement timelines feels most realistic to you? Do you believe one age is clearly better than the others? I would enjoy hearing your perspective in the comments below. I publish new videos every week. If you found this video helpful, consider leaving a like. If you are new to the channel, think about subscribing. And if you know someone who might benefit from this information, feel free to share it with them. I will see you in the next video. Goodbye. 30. That is what I meant. I was referring to the 10-year Treasury. I was not saying 10%. I was correct the entire time. It does not happen often, so enjoy the moment. Your traditional retirement accounts would normally... Well, I almost repeated the same word twice, so let me fix that sentence. Someone nearby is using a leaf blower across the street. And if you know me, you know I dislike loud noise. Nothing is worse than the sound of machines running constantly. My brother is preparing for a TED-style presentation, and I am reviewing his speech. I am really proud of him. He is incredibly smart and talented. I heard that sound again. I am sorry about that. You can probably hear it too.